Browns 0-8 at home. Just sad.
I haven't heard you this down since Stocky Brown got fired. It's a game that we were in, and it's a game that we just don't finish.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Why? Why does that happen? I'm so sick of watching those plays.
0-16.
I definitely do not want to watch this all 22.
That's up and down to me. That looks like dysfunction. Welcome back, Survivors. Episode 58, Season 3. This is Surviving Season, live from the Baywater Studios in Tampa, Florida. I'm Adam, and Greg's here.
Yo! Wow, that sounded so excited to
Oh, yeah.
back.
Yeah, well, we're back for our right after work podcasts that I have no energy for.
12 hours of work and ready to record.
Yeah, directly.
Who's pumped? Well, John Dorsey got back on the mic today. That gets me pumped every time.
It wasn't his worst showing ever.
No, I think anytime that he doesn't have to explain a bad decision, he can sound halfway competent.
Yeah.
He didn't necessarily do the Duke Johnson, like, hey, we're not even sure what we're going to do with you. We'll explore the trades when they came along, that fiasco that he did, but he kind of called out David Njoku a little bit. And he said, if there's one thing David can improve on, he's a good receiver. He's talented in all that way. He needs to improve on his run blocking. I'm challenging David Njoku to improve on the run blocking. I don't hate that. Like, that doesn't make me angry. Like, when you're sort of saying, well, we don't even know what we were going to do with you, Duke Johnson. Maybe that's a good way to motivate David Njoku. Maybe he hears it in the media. But I think David Njoku improved from year 1 to year 2 in his run blocking. Now he still has, he can get better. And
Sure.
So him calling him out, it's fine. It's fine. Do you have to do that stuff in the media? Maybe not.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the question was because I watched the conference where they didn't have the questions weren't aired. So I don't know what they were asking him about Njoku. They did ask him. That is
a dumb idea.
Yeah.
You're telling me you're at the combine, like you can't set up a mic for people to just get in line and ask questions?
Yeah, so we could actually hear
That's silly.
He did say like 3 times, I'm not going to talk about other teams' players. I think one, they asked him about Antonio Brown.
Yep.
And Dorsey held up his phone with the
Tell him to
craziest
call me
screen saver I've ever seen. Some sort of, I don't know if it was a route map or something.
What, on his screen?
Yeah, his screen, like
what kind of phone did he have? A flip phone?
iPhone, yeah.
He had an iPhone.
Definitely
Wow.
From the team.
I thought
sure.
I was expecting Dorsey to have something like our dad would have. Some kind of like just terrible flip phone he keeps on his hip and you're embarrassed.
For sure he's got a holster.
He's got it holstered. I don't want to forget this.
He's a busy guy. You never know. Boom. Get a quick draw that phone. It could be Pittsburgh's GM calling.
Yeah, the other one was the dude from New York, Odell Beckham Jr.
Yeah.
Call me up. You want a deal? Let's do it. Let's deal. Let's make a deal.
Call me on my weird phone. But yeah.
Call me on my landline.
Yeah, he wasn't too
rotary
awful. He seemed calm, which is weird.
Yeah. He's calm when he's not trying to explain away bad decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not good when he's talking Antonio Callaway. He's not good when he's talking Kareem Hunt. That's why. And then on the flip side, you have Freddie get up there. Like, just have Freddie do everything.
Yeah,
he's fantastic.
Freddie
manages to talk about the Kareem Hunt thing, and you actually believe him when he says, "Hey, man, we're trying to make good. We're trying to help him out. To it's not just about football for us. It's about being, making these guys in the best men that they could possibly be." I honest to God believe Freddie when he says stuff like that. I think Freddie is there's no BS with Freddie. I think he's just a straightforward guy, and he says it like it is.
There's a lot of quotes here. I'm not sure which ones are important to break down.
None of them really. I mean, there was a lot of coach talk going on. But I just feel like he does such a better job. And what does he talk about every single time? Team. That's the most important thing to him. Getting guys that want to buy in, guys that will only think about winning, guys that only think about the Cleveland Browns. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we love.
Yeah, he did talk about the confidence. I think it's very confident, and we're not scared to talk about it. I'm not, and hopefully nobody else in the organization is either. There's a lot of expectations right now. We want to thrive on those expectations. We're not scared to talk about those. We have one goal here in Cleveland, and that's to win the Super Bowl. That's the only goal. There you go. That's good coach.
I agree.
Talk, yeah. Anything else that he said?
No, but their whole press conference for both of them. I mean, not the whole thing, but a large portion is just Kareem Hunt stuff. And I know that angers people. It's like, hey, man, that's what happens. So you make these moves, then you spend half of your time just talking about one guy that's not even going to contribute for 3/4 of the season.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is what it is. Moving on.
Speaking of which, they did ask Dorsey if he's heard anything about the suspension. He said he has not. When the league's ready, that information will be released, and then he moved on quickly. So let's see what we got here. Kitchens did talk about Perriman. We have a little bit of news there. I believe Dorsey is meeting with Perriman's agent tomorrow.
Drew Rosenhaus.
Yeah.
Rosenberg.
They're going to talk about the future in Cleveland, which may be working on a deal, or maybe to say we're going to let him hit the market.
I believe.
What do you think?
Knowing Drew, he'll be overvaluing his client, and he'll say, "We'll hold out for the most." And I mean, hey, you should definitely hold out for the most. But if you haven't really produced, you get a nice deal. What do you think the Browns are offering? Like a Greg Robinson? Well, the report also, Greg, we talked a little bit about the Greg Robinson deal. It was a 1 year, $7 or $8 million?
Yeah, $7 million.
$7 million, and I think there might be some bonuses that he could hit. But they were saying that they offered a multi-year, and Greg Robinson was more, he wanted to bet on himself, do a 1 year shorter term deal, see if he can play well, come back, make more money. You have to think the team is trying to get Perriman for relatively cheap on probably what it would be a 2 year deal, most likely. And what would you guess? So what are you thinking here? $4 or $5 million? $4
or $5 million a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking six to 8 for 2, but
yeah, that probably would be okay.
If you guaranteed the first year,
and then made like a team option, something like that. And Drew Rosenhaus is probably thinking, no way, first round draft pick, 6'3", 220 pounds, runs a 4.40. Like, this guy is going to be wanted. But I don't think that's what we have to settle on. There's going to be other players here. The nice thing about him, what does he give you? He stretches the field. There's other field stretchers out there. One of the names that keeps getting brought up is Deshaun Jackson going to get cut. How much is he going to cost on the open market? John Brown, I was just having this discussion with somebody on Twitter yesterday. What about John Brown? Yeah, if you don't get Perriman, you can bring John Brown in, a field stretcher at a reasonable deal. Seems like a very good compliment opposite of Callaway. And then you have Jarvis Landry in your slot. You're dealing with injury concerns there, but with Deshaun Jackson, he seems to have hamstring issues every year. Same thing with John Brown. But it gives you an element that you're kind of missing right now. And then, of course, the draft. I mean, I don't know if you saw the weigh-ins today for some of these guys, but you got every single, you have gigantic wide receivers and guys like Hakeem Butler and DK Metcalf, and then you have the tiniest of receivers in Hollywood Brown, Greg Dortch. It's interesting. There is you can pick your poison with whatever you want to do at wide receiver, and there is depth there that you're going to be able to get late. So how much do you really want to spend on one of these wide receivers is another question.
Yeah, sort of a depth move if you're going to give them any kind of money.
Don't spend money on depth, says Sashi Brown chart.
Yeah, I'd probably let him hit the market and see what he came back with, and then...
Yeah, especially with knowing that you have, what's his name, locked up. Higgins is going to be locked up. That was the other news that came through.
You just keep free agent right over all the... you just keep...
I'm sorry?
You just keep burying the lead on all these stories.
Well, I mean, we're talking about wide receiver here, are we not?
We are.
Yeah, so he's going to be a restricted guy. So you have him for sure. That's one guy is what I'm saying you have locked up for sure. How long, how much that's going to be. And if somebody wants to tender him, that's, we'll see. But that's already taken care of, one of them. So now you're thinking you need at least one more wide receiver to feel good about it going into the season.
Yeah. So, well, I guess we'll see what happens going forward. There was some Twitter reports that Perriman was definitely going to hit the open market because of his agent, comparing that story to Terrell Pryor's. The other agent that Dorsey is meeting tomorrow to talk about the future of Jamie Collins. Where are you at there?
He's bringing him in to sign off on his walking papers, I imagine.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Do you have to bring the agent in for that?
I think they just text you now.
Or are you bringing him in? You're going, look, we want him to stick around, but he's going to take a pay cut. Yeah, like $9 million pay cut. Are you okay with that?
Restructure?
And then the agent says, F off, I'm out of here. And then they agree to pay like $2 million instead of $1 million. I don't know. What does he do that next year? $10 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way he's sticking around is if they're redoing that deal.
That's what I think. So,
and really, wouldn't it come down to Steve Wilkes? Like, you go to Steve Wilkes, you go, look, do you want this guy in your defense? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Because we can find you something different if you don't. But I'm sure Jamie Collins can't think he's getting $10 million anywhere in the market. So he's got to know that once you get cut, is he owed anything else? Like, nothing. It's all gone. Like, basically, once he's cut, he's going to just be on the open market, and then he's going to re-sign with another team. What would his value to another team be? $5 million?
Yeah, I mean, the Browns only walking away from 2.5 dead, so they have all the leverage here.
Right. So if you go, hey, we'll take a pay cut it in half. We'll pay you $5 million to stay on for this season. If you're Jamie Collins, if you like Cleveland, you say yes. If you don't, you go, well, I'll get $5 million from somebody else.
Yeah. It's another dude you could cut and let hit the market, but I mean, if you cut him, he's probably not coming back.
Right.
You could try to restructure it while you have the rights, and you can talk to his agent. So I guess we'll find out what's happening tomorrow on that if they release any info. I'd keep him if we could get him cheap. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, if he's cheap enough, I still think you have to find a long-term solution there. But you keep him on for one more year at a team-friendly deal. It's sort of like the Greg Robinson thing you got going there. So
that was the other signing. Greg Robinson signed a couple days ago. 1 year.
I felt like we talked about that. No. Last time we were on, we had John on, and we were talking about him re-signing. My bad.
Yeah. I think you said it's $7 million up to $9 million with incentives. Good signing. It's a 1 year deal. I'm all for 1 year deal.
Yeah, absolutely. 1 year deal. Prove it. Play well. I mean, hopefully he plays well, and they can re-sign him, and he goes and makes some money. I mean, hoping for the best. But like we said in that last podcast, I'm not bringing Greg Robinson back and going, that's it. I'm satisfied with this offensive line, because he played the best football he's ever played. Now, he's only 25, 26 years old. He's younger still, so maybe he's still improving. But I'm not going to go, hey, this guy played the best football he's ever played in his life, and it was just average. And then I'm going to be like, okay, we're good with that. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, this will be an interesting year for him. Yeah, it definitely wouldn't scare me away from drafting somebody to replace him either. No,
and there's some good-sized offensive linemen here in this draft. They just weighed in today, so I was looking over some of that, and I was like, a lot of these guys are going to be big enough to play tackle. I like it.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong OT class, right?
Very strong. Very strong.
Which ones you got on there that are exciting?
Yeah, Andre Dillard, 6'5", 315. He was big enough. Cody Ford, now he's the right tackle from Oklahoma. He was only 6'3" and 3/4, or 6'3" and 6/8, 329 pounds. So that's kind of short. We'll have to look that up. Do you know what your I thought it was 6'4",
6'5", 6'6", I think, is when we talked to Pete Smith.
6'5".
Yeah.
Okay. So some of these guys they might. So yeah, I don't know if he's going to be tall enough. Now, like David Edwards from Wisconsin, absolutely humongous. Greg Little from Ole Miss, another just enormous guy. Titus Howard, 6'5", 322, enormous. Dalton Risner was 6'4" and 6'8", so 312 pounds. I think he's just going to be there. He's going to be right on the edge. That's a guy that can come in and play right. He played right tackle all through. Well, he played right tackle this year because I think he played some center going back to early in his career there. The guy I talked about, Northern Illinois, is Max Sharpring, 6'5" and 7/8", 327. I mean, big boys. It's a good looking draft class from the weigh-ins. The other one was the tight ends that weighed in today. Did you see any of the tight end weights? Like, man, do you know Noah Fant, the kid that's like super athletic Iowa kid? 6'4" and 1/8, 249 pounds. I thought he was going to be like 230 pound guy, like Evan Ingram type.
Yeah,
because he's super athletic. They said he's going to run like ridiculous. He's going to run a ridiculous 40. He's going to jump 40 inches. He weighs 250 pounds. I don't even think David Njoku was like 240 at the combine, if I remember correctly. The guy we've talked about a lot, TJ Hawkinson, 6'4", 6'8", 251 pounds. Perfect. We know he can block. And when you look at him, you're like, this guy's still going to be able to add more weight to him. The other guy that I talked about with Pete that I like, the Jay Sternberger from Texas A&M, 6'4", 251. Another guy. I'm looking at this guy going, he probably only weighs like 235 pounds, but he looks like he's wiry. You can add some weight to him. Weighs in 251. I mean, those are tremendous weights for these guys who look thin and are still going to be able to add bulk onto their body. It's crazy. It's crazy that I think this is one of the most complete tight end rookie tight end classes in a long time. It's really good. And then you get the Cowboys. This just came up like a half an hour ago. Are bringing back Jason Witten. What are you doing? Have you looked over the tight end class? You're going to pay this guy. He can barely. I mean, he couldn't separate from me if he tried right now. I mean, he's slow. He's worse in the booth. That much is for sure. But he's not a good football player anymore. And somehow the Cowboys are going to bring him back. It's amazing stuff going on.
They had to give him a $5 million deal too to get him to play. They're not even bidding against anybody.
No, because I can't imagine that. What was he on ESPN? I can't imagine they want him back. He was terrible.
Yeah,
it was unlistenable.
It was
garbage.
It's a weird contract to give him a dude that hasn't played for a year.
Yeah, I don't know, but some really good height and weight by these guys that came in. A couple other ones that were was a little bit smaller than maybe. This guy doesn't look real big on film, so I'm not sure if I was shocked by this. But Irv Smith, the Alabama tight end, was only 6'2" and 3/8", 242 pounds. That's going to be a guy, second round tight end, just good all around player. If the Browns are going to add one of them, that's, these guys I just mentioned, these are some of the people that can add. Another guy I brought up when we were talking to Pete was that Dawson Knox from Ole Miss. He has like 13 catches this year, has zero production whatsoever, he runs like he's a wideout at times. They just don't throw him the ball. I'm thinking this guy is another Evan Ingram, 230 pound guy. He weighs in 6'4", and 3/8, weighs in at 254 pounds. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I think these guys are just chugging like gallons and gallons of water. And then they're going to come back. They'll be running tomorrow at like 20. It's like weighing in for a UFC fight or something. You're just dropping your 20 pounds of water weight tomorrow when you go to run. Yeah,
they're starting to learn how to game the system a little bit.
Yeah.
just hydrate up.
I mean, the combine, so I think Friday is actually the day everybody starts doing the drills and whatnot. But I get excited about these height and weights. Did you see the Kyler Murray, by the way?
Yeah, 5'10", 209?
207. 207. So he's right there, what he needs to be, really close to Russell Wilson. And people are starting to think this guy might go number 1 overall, and Josh Rosen could be traded. What do you think of that? I know you haven't probably watched one throw of Kyler Murray this year, have you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Just watching
Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, watching him and
who had a tremendous weight today. Also, I'll get to that.
So I did see some Murray, but I haven't watched the quarterbacks just because I don't need to.
Yeah, I'm doing one game scouting, so I watched. I've watched plenty of Kyler Murray just because of the same reason. I've watched a lot of the Oklahoma, but not sit there and study Kyler Murray because, for one, we don't need a quarterback, so it's nice. So I'm really not spending too much time watching the quarterbacks. I've seen a lot of Dwayne Haskins, obviously, because I watched the Ohio State Buckeyes. But I did a one-game scout on Drew Lock. I pulled up the Alabama game. I made it to halftime, and I was like, But that's all I need to see. Like, this is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. My comp is Blake Bortles. End of story. My one game scout. That's who it is. I'm writing it down.
Done with the guy. I'm out on you.
Passes that, like, the guy's wide open. He's throwing balls 10 feet over people's heads. They're coming out wobbly for no apparent reason whatsoever. But guess what? He's got a really strong arm. He can move in the pocket. He can do a lot of nice things. He can't complete an easy pass. He's Blake Bortles.
Yeah, it's going to be a long year taking these kids that it's not a good quarterback class.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, I really don't know that much because I'm not focusing on them.
Yeah,
I am not wasting my time watching these guys. I watched so much quarterback last year. I must have watched every single Josh Allen video that they have out there like 3 or 4 times. And I still just trying to wrap my head around it. Why are people saying that he needs to go number 1? Why? What is there that tells you this guy needs to go number 1? So I watched enough for probably the rest of my life. Let me cover some of these. So the wide receivers, DK Metcalf, right? Complete stud. We talked about that. The guy's a freak. 6'3", 3/8, 228 pounds. He had an 82 and 7/8 wingspan.
Wow.
I mean, yeah. Tremendous. Like, the guy is just a stud. He's probably going to run in the 4.4s. If not, it'll be like low 4.5s. He weighs 228. Now, you've seen the picture of him, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen the picture of him next to A.J. Brown?
Yes.
A.J. Brown, also the Ole Miss receiver, weighs in today at 226, 2 pounds less. It looks like there's no way.
Yeah.
What has DK Metcalf done to lose all this weight, or what has A.J. Brown done to gain all this weight? I'm calling shenanigans here. It does not make sense. A.J. Brown is like half the man of what DK Metcalf looks like in those pictures. But A.J. Brown, 6 foot and a half inch, 226. So he's going to come in, and if he runs a halfway decent time, that is like your big slot guy that can really take over the league. Like, he catches the ball very well. But you're looking at comps like this is, I always look at him and I go, hey, he does the stuff that Jarvis Landry does, but he's bigger and he's probably more athletic. I guess the best, what you could hope for would be a guy like Michael Thomas, best wide receiver in the league. You can use him as that kind of wide receiver, doing that kind of stuff with him, where he uses his body, uses his height and his weight to work the inside routes, sort of like Michael Thomas. Is his hands as strong? I don't know. I doubt that. Michael Thomas has like some of the best hands in the league.
With these measurements, I don't know offhand because I don't have it right in front of me. Is there a hand size threshold or a hand size correlation to drop passes or anything silly that I don't remember from last year?
There probably is, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I didn't look any of that up. But AJ Brown had good hand size, 9 inch, 9 3/4 inch. So
I know a lot of the scouts talk about arm length for tackles, and Jim Coburn, if you're of his school for some of these thresholds, average arm length is not important. It's the height.
Overall height is what. Yeah. So I've heard it both ways, but all the guys that I brought up to you with the tackles were all decent arm length too. The one that is like right on the one, we talked about going back to the tackles, Jonah Williams. He was 6'4" and a half, and then 302 pounds. Like 302 is not very big. And then he had 33 and 5/8 inch arm length, which is, I think that's enough, but I mean, that's on the lower end.
Yeah, the average arm length of starting NFL tackle is 33 and a half inches.
Okay, so there it is.
But Brugler's, the more traditional scouts, they say 34 inch plus.
Yeah, okay.
And that was kind of used as a threshold, I think, for a while, but I don't think it correlates anymore. Or it probably hasn't for a couple of years, and we just started to catch up watching some of Coburn's stuff. He's Jim Metrics on Twitter, JIMETRICS. Good follow.
Yeah. I would think that the wide receiver, like if you have 9 inch hands, you're probably good as a wide receiver without a doubt. I mean, very few of the guys have, just looking at like Hollywood Brown, I brought up, he had a pretty impressive weight for the wrong reason, 166 pounds, but he has 9 inch hands. So, His hands are fine, but 166 pounds. I mean, that gives us hope for us small guys that hey, one day maybe.
Yeah.
One day.
Yeah. If you could run faster than a 5-second 40.
Yeah.
Right.
5'9" and 3/8 is his height. So he's not terribly short. That's not too bad. But the 166 is a problem. The other guy that gets compared to him often is Andy Isabella, who was 5'8" and 6/8. 188 pounds. So he's got 22 pounds on. What is hilarious is that AJ Brown is 60 pounds heavier than Hollywood Brown. 60 pounds, that's a third grader. He's a third grader bigger than Hollywood Brown is.
That's amazing.
So the other guy that I talked about is again small, Greg Dortch, Wake Forest slot guy, return specialist, 5'7" and 1/8, 5'7" and 1/8, 173 pounds, and his hands are only 8.5. So that's some of the smaller hands. I don't know what Andy Isabella's were actually. I didn't look them up.
What was Kyler Murray's hands? I know quarterbacks have.
They were good, like 9.5.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, it was good. It was good enough, anyways.
Yeah, I think 9 was
9.5 exactly.
9's the threshold on that.
Yep. Other names we talked about with John when Colosimo was on the other day was Jas Ferguson. Remember he brought him up? Big boy. 6'4", 5'8", 227, 9.5-inch hands. Well, 9.25 hands. And 81. The wingspan 81 and 7/8. So his wingspan is almost as big as DK Metcalf's. So good height and weight there. Remember these guys I had lumped in together: Kelvin Harmon, N'Keal Harry, and the Arcega Whiteside kid from Stanford. 3 guys that I was all like, these guys are not burners. They're sort of lumped into the same group. The testing is going to separate themselves. Well, one thing that the measurement didn't separate them at all. They're all 6'2" to 6'2.5", and they're from 221 to 228. They're all right there. So they're like the exact same guy. They do a lot of the same things. I mean, you can argue one way or the other. I mean, they are different receivers, but they're close in their stature and that kind of stuff. And then we'll find out how they test tomorrow, because that's probably going to help separate these guys a little bit. Or Friday, I believe, is when they end up testing.
That's tomorrow.
Oh yeah. Wait, I think the wide receivers are on Saturday.
You're right.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Real quick with the running backs, the one shocking one, Josh Jacobs was 220 pounds. I was surprised by that. 5'10", 220. A lot of people are hyping him. I haven't done very much on the running backs either. Like I've watched, a couple games of each, but I haven't really studied them because I don't think we're going to take one. Not too worried about it. He looks fine. When I look at Josh Jacobs, I think Sony Michel. That's who he reminds me of. Running style, like cutter, like a guy that can, run up the middle. But he's going to give you a nice like jump cut and go. Maybe not like a great overall speed, but he's pretty quick, like Sony Michel is. But he's a little bit heavier. I think Sony Michel was like 210, 212 pounds. So he's a little bit bigger. Bryce Love, we've talked about him for a couple of years because he's a big, he's known for the big gains, with Stanford, tore his ACL. I'm thinking maybe if he falls to the 7th round or something, maybe the Browns take a shot at him. He ends up being like a Dion Lewis type guy, 5'8" and 7/8, 200 pounds. So weighed in, he's not going to be able to do any of the drills, but he would run super fast. Another guy we talked about with Pete, Darrell Henderson from Memphis. Do you remember that name?
Yep.
He had like 1,900 yards rushing, 5'8" and 3/8, 208 pounds. So smaller back, and his hands are real small. He had like 8-inch hands. So I don't know. I wonder if there's what the correlation between small hands and fumbling is.
It's arm length for running backs.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's what it is.
Okay. Why? Okay. And then another name that is getting a lot of hype. I think Lance Zierlein from NFL.com, he even has him like in his top 25. Devin Singletary, FAU running back, 5'7.5", 203. 5'7.5", so shorter guy. Again, quicker, real quick guy. Will make you miss. Tough running back. We'll see how he ends up testing. He'll probably test pretty well. But smaller backs this year the good backs are sort of these small, fast guys, really.
Yeah, I'll go back to Jim Coburn for what I just said. Highly touted running backs who didn't meet 31-inch arm length threshold. Devin Singletary, Elijah Holyfield, Mike Weber, Bryce Love, and Travion Williams. Only 3 significant starters with that arm length were C.J. Spiller, Chris Johnson, and Devonta Freeman since 2004.
So Elijah Holyfield doesn't meet the arm length requirements to be an NFL starting running back, but his dad met the arm length requirements to be the heavyweight champion of the world. Explain that one to me. Makes no sense. I don't believe in this one. Tell Colburn we need new stats. Makes no sense.
Yeah, we should have him on, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. We should. I need to berate him on how you're telling me the son of the heavyweight champion of the world, his arms aren't long enough. How the hell was Evander Holyfield's jab so strong and kept Mike Tyson? You remember when he beat the crap out of Mike Tyson? Remember that? One of the greatest fights in history. I'm rooting for Elijah. I'll take Elijah Holyfield right now on our team. We'll beat the hell out of anybody. Let's go. Anybody want to start shit with the Browns? Here we go.
Also, Jason Witten signed for $3.5 million. 1 year, $3.5 million, not 5. Sorry.
I heard that ESPN or CBS, whoever he worked for, actually paid the Cowboys to take him back. I don't know if that's true. That's the rumor going on. They're like, look, we cannot keep this guy in the booth. We feel bad about firing him after one season. Should have never did it. Will you please sign him back?
Here's some Rappaport. The Chiefs have had trade conversations about Justin Houston, an intriguing option before free agency. That's a John Dorsey. That's my guy.
I don't think he drafted him though. He was before. He's too old. John Dorsey.
Okay.
Yeah, but he's extremely talented. But I think he's extremely expensive also.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of compensation they're looking for there.
And the other thing would be, what is his age? Is he 30 on the bad side of 30? He might be right around 29, 30 years old.
January 21st, 89, just turned 30.
Okay. So that's rough, man. You got to decide there. Like, I'd feel a lot better about getting a big guy like McCoy on the, Gerald McCoy, something like that, where it's all power. I mean, Justin Houston is more of a power than a speed guy anyways, but you got to think you're going to start slipping. Like, it's going to start going downhill for you as a pass rusher after 30. So he's probably got a couple good years in him. How much? I think his deal is a couple more years, right?
Yeah, he's got 2 more years left on the deal.
It's like $20 million, something like that.
Yeah, $40 million of cap hit. So you'd probably want the Chiefs to eat some of that. It's cash would be 15.5 and 17.5 for the next 2 years. So that might eat into your compensation if you're taking that money off some team's hands.
It's one thing. I guess it's going to be what's compensation. It's one thing you're trading for Khalil Mack and he's right in the prime.
Right.
This is different. Like, what do you think the Chiefs are going to want back? There's no way they get a 1 for him.
No, I don't think so. No, but I don't know.
They might be able to get a 2.
Yeah, I mean, you're helping them out.
I'd love to have them.
A lot of that money off of their books. So,
we got to cut it short, dude. I got to go pick up.
Yep.
Little guy.
All right. Anything else?
No, I wish we'd go. I have a little bit more. We'll have to get another one going soon.
All right. We'll be back when we're back. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Twitter's at STS Podcasts. Our email's survivingtheseason@gmail.com. Patreon at, patreon.com/STS Podcast. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thanks for rating, sharing the show. #Road to Redemption. Greg, tell them what we say.
Keep on surviving.